What does it take to survive against all odds? Imagine a chilly morning in Uruguay, the sky a clear expanse of hope and possibility. Aboard Flight 571, a young rugby team, eager and spirited along with their family members, settled into their seats. Their destination? Chile, a journey anticipated to be brief, merely crossing the spine of the Earth, the majestic Andes Mountains. This flight was supposed to be a routine shuffle from one country to another, a simple passage marking the beginning of an adventurous excursion. The passengers, a vibrant mix of youthful athletes and supportive relatives, were buzzing with anticipation. Conversations filled the cabin, dreams of the matches to come mingling with the laughter and chatter of close-knit companions. For them, the trip was more than just travel. It was a bonding experience, a shared adventure before battling on the rugby field. But as they soared over the Andes, destiny was already rewriting their journey. On that fateful day, the unexpected happened. As Flight 571 soared above the rugged Andes Mountains, the skies turned treacherous. A chilling blend of severe weather and critical navigational errors began to unfold. Thick clouds enveloped the aircraft, visibility dropped to near zero, and the plane was off course, unknown to the pilots and passengers alike. Inside the cabin, tension escalated rapidly. Passengers clung to their seats as the aircraft jolted violently, tossed about by the merciless winds. The sounds of panic intertwined with the howling storm outside. Every shudder of the plane sent a wave of dread through the cabin. Crew members attempted to maintain calm, but their faces betrayed the gravity of the situation. Then, with a horrific force, the plane struck the mountain. The impact was catastrophic, shearing off wings and rending the fuselage. In an instant, the interior was thrown into chaos, a maelstrom of screams, tearing metal and shattering glass. In moments, the airplane was wreckage, and survival became their only mission. Awakening to a frozen nightmare, survival was no longer a guarantee. As the bitter cold seeped through the wreckage of the aircraft, the survivors of Flight 571 faced the stark reality of their situation. Nestled precariously in the unforgiving Andes, they were miles away from civilization, with no rescue in sight. In those first moments, the survivors scrambled to salvage what they could from the plane. Seats were torn out and used as insulation. Luggage and remnants of the aircraft became barriers against the relentless wind. The fuselage, broken and battered, served as the only shelter from the harsh elements outside. The conditions they faced were beyond harsh. The altitude, over 20,000 feet, made every breath a laborious task, each gasp for air a painful reminder of their precarious situation. The temperature plummeted to below freezing as night fell, turning their makeshift shelter into an icebox. Food supplies were meager, consisting of whatever had been on board, a few snacks and beverages, hardly enough to sustain them for a few days, let alone indefinitely. As they huddled together for warmth, the reality of their dire circumstances became clearer. They were trapped on a high-altitude glacier, surrounded by snow and ice, with limited oxygen and no hope of immediate rescue. Each survivor faced the psychological battle of maintaining hope in a situation that seemed increasingly hopeless. With each passing day, hope dimmed, but their will to live burned fiercely. As food dwindled, a grim decision loomed over them. Stranded high in the Andes, the survivors of Flight 571 were pushed to the brink. Initially, they had scavenged what little food was aboard the aircraft, a few chocolate bars, some wine, and miscellaneous snacks. But as days turned into weeks, these supplies evaporated. The group, young and resilient, faced a dire choice. The harsh mountainous environment offered no flora or fauna to sustain them. Hunting was out of the question. The snow-covered peaks around them were barren. Starvation was not just a possibility, it was imminent. Confronted with this stark reality, the survivors convened. The decision they contemplated was heart-wrenching: cannibalism. This was not a choice made lightly. Each individual wrestled with their morals, their upbringing, and the sheer weight of cultural taboos. Yet the alternative was collective demise. The emotional turmoil was palpable. Some could not fathom the idea, while others saw it as the only plausible means of survival. It was a decision of last resort. They agreed to use the bodies of those already deceased as a source of nourishment. This agreement was made with the utmost respect and solemnity, acknowledging the sacrifice of their friends and teammates. This decision, though controversial, was pivotal. It underscored a profound truth about human nature. The will to live often pushes individuals beyond the boundaries of conventional morality. The survivors were not driven by cruelty or disregard for life. Rather, they were guided by a desperate bid for survival, an instinctive response embedded deeply within all humans. In this extreme situation, traditional societal norms no longer held sway. The rules of civilization were replaced by the primal need to survive. It was a transformative ordeal that reshaped their understanding of life and the lengths one might go to preserve it. In the face of starvation, societal norms faded, replaced by the basic human instinct to survive. The mountain silence was broken by an audacious plan. As days turned into weeks, the survivors of Flight 571 realized that waiting for rescue might no longer be an option. The harsh environment of the Andes showed no mercy. Food supplies dwindled and the cold pierced through their makeshift shelter. It was against this backdrop that a bold decision was made. A group would trek across the mountains to find help. Preparation began immediately. They fashioned snowshoes from the remnants of the aircraft and wrapped themselves in insulation made from whatever materials they could salvage. Each item was a lifeline, a small victory against the elements. The plan was fraught with risks: avalanches, treacherous terrain, and the ever-looming threat of altitude sickness. Yet the alternative was to stay and face almost certain demise. Leadership emerged from the most unexpected individuals. Those who once played on the rugby field now found themselves strategizing for survival. Their roles transformed from teammates to trailblazers, guiding the group with a mix of courage and caution. Every step planned was a step away from the past horrors and towards a sliver of hope. The eve of their departure was filled with a tense mix of fear and resolve. They checked their makeshift gear, knowing that the journey ahead would be more demanding than anything they had faced before. With hearts heavy but spirits unbroken, they set out into the vast white wilderness. With makeshift gear and indomitable spirit, they embarked on a trek that would test their limits. Every step was a battle against the odds. In the heart of the Andes, Nando Parado and Roberto Canessa faced a daunting challenge that would test the limits of human endurance. Having survived the crash and the dire conditions that followed, they embarked on what can only be described as an epic quest for survival. The journey began with a decision born out of sheer desperation and a fierce will to live. With minimal provisions, their goal was clear but distant: find help or perish in the attempt. Every inch of progress meant navigating through snow-blanketed passes and scaling sheer rock faces, all while battling the piercing cold that threatened to freeze their resolve. As they traversed the rugged landscape, the mental toll was as grueling as the physical strain. Doubt and fear were constant companions, whispering defeat with every difficult step. Yet their spirits were buoyed by thoughts of loved ones and the hope of rescue. They pushed forward, driven by the vision of embracing their families once again. Hunger and exhaustion became relentless adversaries. Each day their physical strength dwindled, but the human spirit's remarkable resilience shone brilliantly against the backdrop of adversity. They encouraged each other, knowing that giving up meant certain demise not only for themselves but potentially for their friends still stranded in the wreckage. After enduring unimaginable hardships, salvation was within reach. On December 23rd, the world watched as a miracle unfolded. Helicopters whirred over the stark, snow-clad peaks of the Andes, where the unimaginable had occurred. After 72 grueling days, the survivors of Flight 571 were finally spotted from above. Their rescue was not just a mission, it was a race against time, a desperate dash to bring them back from the brink. As the survivors were hoisted into the helicopters, emotions surged. Tears streamed down their faces, not just from the biting cold, but from the overwhelming relief of salvation. Each reunion was a poignant spectacle of raw, unfiltered human emotion. Families embraced their loved ones, who they feared lost forever, in scenes that tugged at the heartstrings of the entire world. The impact of their ordeal was profound and far-reaching. Surviving against all odds, these individuals didn't just come back to tell a tale of survival. They came back with insights into the human condition. Their story stirred conversations about the indomitable human spirit and the extraordinary resilience we are capable of in the face of dire adversity. Their experience also sparked a global dialogue on the ethics of survival, challenging us to think about what we might do in the face of such extreme circumstances. It changed them, undoubtedly, but it also changed the world's perception of courage and human limits. They returned as heroes, their story a testament to the resilience and resourcefulness of the human spirit. What can we learn from the miracle of the Andes? In the face of unimaginable adversity, the survivors of Flight 571 showcased an extraordinary display of human resilience and leadership. Their story is not just about survival, but about the power of human spirit and unity under pressure. These lessons transcend time and geography, reminding us that when the situation demands, human beings can summon remarkable strength and courage. Their journey reminds us of the profound strength that exists within us all when faced with life's